there you'll see a cause to believe. You feel it in your heart, we can all do our part. No voice is too small to answer the call. Don't turn away from what you see, the future's up to you and me. You got the power to make it right. You got the vision to see it through. You got the freedom to make it come true. You got the power. You got the power. The power.
All right, everybody, settle down and listen up. Now, lately, we've been comparing slides with video, moving pictures versus stills. Today, we're going to start putting that knowledge into action. Working in groups of 2 or more and using either format, you will write, shoot, and ultimately produce a 5 to 8 minute piece on one of these 2 topics: fire safety or emergency medical procedures. Okay? Think about that while I take attendance.
Man, I hope I don't have to work with Shelley again. Last time I worked with her, she acted like I had to shoot a whole modeling portfolio.
Porch lights on, but nobody's home.
Yeah.
Now, your target audience can be elementary, junior high, or high school students. And if your finished tape meets my standards, I'll make it available to classrooms across the school district. Now, I suggest you first select the topic or format that most interests you, and then see if you can find 1 or 2 friends who think the same thing. Okay?
Lisa, Bob, can you... Why don't we pick a topic that we can all agree on so we can get to work?
That's fine with me. How about you?
Okay.
I suggest that we do emergency medical, but I think Ryan and Dave already took it.
Yo, Sably, I think Dave and I are gonna do the emergency medical thing. That includes the highway maneuver, right?
Right. I come up from behind, you punch on your stomach, and you barf up your lunch. Great close-up.
Hey, guy, you mind if I join your group?
Sure. Got any hot ideas?
How about fire safety? That's hot.
Okay, but let's work with high school students.
Okay, but who's gonna do what job?
I think you'll all agree that I'm the best camera person for the job.
I hate to admit it, but he's probably right.
If nobody else cares, I'd like to do the writing and the producing.
Great, and I'll be the director. I can handle Bob, his camera, and his ego.
Listen up. You have 3 days maximum to turn in a production schedule. And it's first come, first served on reserving the camera and sound gear.
Okay, Shelley, the focus for this piece will be to educate the kindergartners, and as a future preschool teacher...
But you guys, I really think that I should be like the on-camera talent.
You'll be on camera with the kindergartners when we do the classroom fire drills, but I'm not going to point the camera at you all the time.
Okay, I've scheduled us for a camera and gear in 1 week. Are there any problems with that?
No problems. Hey, listen, I've seen this kid walking around the hallways at school. Looks like he's been in a really bad fire. I never really had the nerve to ask him, though. Maybe we could get his story on camera.
I know who you're talking about. Look, why don't I try to get an interview with him?
Go for it, Lisa. Hey, guys, let's do this like a newscast, huh? How about, and now, for an Eyewitness News update. From the top of the fire training tower, Lisa Wagner, girl reporter. Action.
I want to thank you for letting me interview you today, Captain Goodson. What's the first thing that we should know about fire safety?
You must install a smoke detector in your home before a fire occurs, because you must be alerted to a fire or smoke danger before you can escape.
What if I'm home at night asleep and my smoke detector goes off? What's the first thing I should do?
Well, unfortunately, you should have already had a plan. The family should know that usually the quickest and safest way out of a fire is the normal way that you would leave your house. However, you should also know that if that usual way is blocked by fire or smoke, that you know a second way to get out of the house. Once you're out of the house, you must all meet at a safe place. and you must be sure that everyone is accounted for.
Okay, my smoke detector's in place, and I know my escape route, and the alarm goes off. What should I do next?
We need to evacuate first and investigate later. Always remember that lives come before property. Older brothers and sisters can be very helpful at a time like this. They can help younger ones. It's hard to say, but you should be calm and don't panic, because if you panic and your adrenaline starts pumping, you'll breathe poisonous gases and smoke faster than you normally would. These poisonous gases will affect the young and the elderly before they'll affect you. Once you're outside the house and meet at that safe place, make sure that everyone's accounted for. Call the fire department, and when the firefighters arrive, let them know if anybody's trapped inside. But remember, never, for any reason, go back inside the house.
Is there anything in particular that you'd like to let teenagers know about fire safety?
Well, I know that talking to your parents isn't really on the top of your list of things to do, but if you don't have a smoke detector in your home already, you should talk to your folks about installing one. If you do have a smoke detector in your home or apartment, I want you tonight to check it. You check it by testing the test button. Once you check the battery, if it's not good, be sure and replace it. And then change it on a regular basis. We suggest that you change it every spring and every fall when you have to change your clocks for daylight savings time. And never take the battery out of the smoke detector to use in a different appliance like a radio, because you might forget to put it back in the smoke detector, and then you wouldn't be prepared if you actually had a fire.
Thank you very much for letting me interview you today, Captain Goodson. Later on, we're going to demonstrate just how difficult it might be to remain calm in a smoke-filled hallway.
And cut. Good job, Lisa.
I can't believe your parents let us haul this gear in here. Give me a sound check.
Okay. My eyes are red, my teeth are green. I hope I remember my lines.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Roll it.
Developing a realistic escape plan before a fire happens. Now, what does that mean for you? It means Edith. That's right. EDITH. Exit drills in the home. Call a family conference and prepare for a fire emergency when everyone is calm. Develop a realistic plan and practice at night in the dark. Special plans must be made for little kids or older adults who can't escape by themselves. Make sure your little brother can actually open the window and escape. If he can't, make sure he at least closes the bedroom door and waits by an open window until someone can reach him from outside. The second floor window sill in most houses is no more than 13 feet from the ground. So, open the window and slide through feet first, or perch on the sill. Then hang by your fingertips and drop. Just remember to bend your knees when you land. If you have a little brother or sister with you, lower them as far as possible, then let them drop. Don't go first and expect them to follow. They may panic and go back into the room and hide. If you live in an apartment building, don't use the elevators. You might get trapped. If the fire's in your apartment, close the door behind you as you leave to slow the spread of the fire. Remember, alert the other people in the building. Hey, surprise the building manager. Ask if all the families in your building can get together to practice fire drills. Cut. What comes next, Bob?
Stay low and smoke. Hold it, I'll zoom in.
Okay.
Rolling.
Smoke is the greatest danger in a fire. Most people die because smoke either blocks their escape or disables them. Hot gases and smoke collect near the ceiling first, then move toward the floor as the smoke layer gets thicker. So, stay low. The best air is near the floor. If you must wait by a window for help, keep the doors closed or smoke and fire may be drawn into a room by a draft. That about covers it all. Hey, why don't you get a tight close-up of our smoke detector while we're here? I think my mom keeps a broom in here. Yeah. She's gonna love this. It works.
Stanley, Valentine, Pothead!
Valentine?
For forget about it. Let's go.
I got it on camera, man.
Hi, guys. Who's going to go through the safety trailer today?
Bob and Stan and Lisa are gonna.
Okay, before we go in, I want to review some of the safety items with you. First, you always crawl low and smoke. Your primary exits for any fire are the doors, but before you open the door, you want to feel it with the back of your hand. If it's warm, you don't open it. If you can't go through the door, you want to use the windows as your next exit. Always go out feet first. If you're trapped in a second story, you want to notify the fire department by hanging a sheet or a towel out the window. Once you're out of the building, never, never go back in for anything.
Most people aren't aware that teenagers have their own particular set of fire or burn-related problems. These problems are common to our age group because teenagers tend to be risk takers. We let our friends influence us. You know, the old "I dare you." Often we don't think of the consequences of our actions. As an example, sunburn from prolonged exposure to sun or sun lamps. Our reporter Lisa Wagner is covering this story. Lisa? Miss Abley, this is where we run Shelley's spot. Stan, are you ready with that?
Give me a minute. Here it comes. Tape rolling.
Shelley, I understand you got a terrible sunburn this year right before the prom. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, sure. See, I guess it was sort of stupid, but see, I was really, really pale, and I really, really wanted a tan to go with this strapless dress. So I went to this tanning spot, and I thought that if like 5 minutes was good, then 10 would be even better. 20 would be like super. But I ended up looking like really gross, you know, just really, really gross.
Can you describe the burn for us?
Oh, sure. My eyelids, they got really red and swollen and itchy. And my lips, they got these big blisters on them. And then the blisters oozed, and my lips became really dried and cracked. Oh, it was really, really yucky. You know, just totally grossed me out. Oh.
Lots of us hold down part-time jobs as well as go to school. If you work in a restaurant and prepare, serve, or carry food, then severe burns and scalding from hot liquids or grease can be a real occupational hazard. So use your head, and not just your feet at work.
Other common interests, especially among young teenage boys, are cars, boats, and motorcycles. Activities where you find flammable substances, such as gasoline. It's very easy to forget how hazardous it can be.
Lisa, you got the camera pointed down at my feet. You got to tilt it up here.
Hey, I can handle it. Look, get off my back. Why don't you stop shouting and start talking?
Hey, guys, I know you all think nothing can happen to you. You got your act together, right? And you've been filling the lawnmower gas tank since you were a little kid. No big deal. You keep the extra gasoline stored in the garage. And now your moped reads empty. So the question is, do you take Mom's grocery getter on a run for more gas? Or do you borrow the gasoline that's stored in the garage? Right, you borrow. First, you got to ask yourself, though, did you store the gasoline in a safe container, high on a shelf where little kids can't reach it? It's poisonous, you know. And when you're messing around with the bike, is the lid on the can tight so the gasoline vapors don't escape and collect near the ground? Because you may not notice the smell, but the fumes alone can ignite. Friend walks up, lights a cigarette, boom, your history.
Clothing, fashion, a subject near and dear to the hearts of all teenagers. Let's hear how this topic relates to fire safety from Stan Povak.
This is just a rehearsal. I haven't even read this stuff yet. In this modern age of equality between the sexes, it's sad to report that females are far more likely than males to be victims of clothing ignition. Why? Because one, women are still more likely to do most of the cooking, which exposes them to the most dangerous source of all clothing fires, the kitchen stove. And two, women tend to wear clothing with looser fitting, flowing sleeves. You know, clothing ignition can happen in a flash if you're standing too close to an open gas flame or reaching over hot burners. So, if you're making a fashion statement, don't cook. Maria, did you write this junk?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be funny with it. This is kind of true. Why don't you go to the part where you demonstrate what to do if your clothes catch on fire, or if someone else's clothes catch on fire. And Lisa, you'll need to take the camera so that Bob can help Stan with this. You guys, Are you ready to do stop, drop, and roll?
Yes, very much.
Lisa, are you ready? Okay. Have at it.
There are a couple of important things to remember. If you or someone near you catches on fire, stop, drop, and roll. Bob, help me demonstrate. Remember to stop. Don't run and just fans the flames. Then drop or push the other person to the floor. Then roll around to smother the flames. If you can, grab anything handy like a jacket or a towel to roll up in. The idea is to cut off the oxygen to the fire. Then pull off the burned material, but not over the victim's head or face. Tear the victim's shirt if you have to. You know, you want to act fast, because when clothing burns, people burn.
All that information sounds like it would be simple to remember, but in emergency situations, maybe not. Isn't that right, Lisa?
Right, Maria. Most teenagers are very concerned about how they look. I know my mom says I spend entirely too much time in front of the bathroom mirror in the morning. How about yours? Keep that thought in mind as we go to our next story. My guest today is Billy Swanson. Thank you, Billy, for letting me interview you today.
They just call me Swanee. Everybody else does.
Okay, Swanee, how old were you when the accident happened?
I was 1. What exactly happened was we had a house fire, and late at nighttime, my grandmother usually comes and pick me up or takes me out to bed, and everyone would sleep. And I used to get up and go into the middle of the corner and play with my toys. And that night, she didn't come and get me. My grandmother did not come and get me. So as the fire broke out, she was downstairs screaming to everyone, "It's a fire, it's a fire." You know, she was waking up my mother, my mother's brother, and my auntie. And so as everybody was getting out the bed, and they was for to climb out the window. Okay, it was like a 2-story building, so they were for to jump out the window. So my uncle went down, then my mother was on her way down, and she asked, "Where's the baby? Where's the baby at?" So she said, "The baby's not down here." My grandmother said that. So she said, so my mother was fit to go back up in the window, and my auntie was coming down. So my auntie said, "Where's he at? I'll get him." So she said, "Look in the corner. He should be in the corner, asleep somewhere." So as she looked over into the corner, there I was asleep. And as she looked over there, she stood up, and she got suffocated by the smoke and died.
How do others around you react, and does it bother you?
Well, most of them react pretty good, and it doesn't really bother me at all. But when I used to go into to different malls, people used to stare at me and things like that. At that time, when I was that age, I didn't care. But as I started getting older, I started worrying about it, and then I finally said, "Hey, forget it," you know.
Have you had to go through a lot of physical therapy and plastic surgery over the years?
Oh, I've been through a lot. Well, as I was a baby, they did a lot of major things. Like my hand was burned, okay, and it was burned so bad they had to cut the top of the fingers off so that they wouldn't fall off later. And they had to cut the middle one off and put it for a thumb so I can use it later on in life.
I guess people don't realize how quickly their lives can change over a simple accident.
Yes, well, what our problem was, we didn't have a fire alarm. And if we had a fire alarm and it would have went off, everybody could have got out the house sooner. Because as you said, things happen so fast and so suddenly. I know they want the same thing to happen to their kids, so.
Thank you very much, Billy, for letting me interview you today. That was Billy Swanson, a kid here at our own school. When it comes to fire, the bottom line is, it can happen to you or someone you love.
Good job on that interview, Lisa. It must have been really hard to stay a reporter and not show emotion during that.
Well, he was real matter-of-fact about his surgery. He didn't want any of my pity. He's doing fine.
You okay?
Mrs. Ailey, can we take a break?
Lisa, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just keep thinking how that could have happened to me or my little sister. I'll admit, looking good is important to me, but Billy was just a victim of a dumb accident when he was a baby.
Accidents happen, but a fire will change your life in an instant. I mean...
But it wasn't a change for him, man. I mean, he's never known it to be any different. That's always the way it's been. He's got a 4.0 grade average, he's got a job, and he's already been accepted to college.
And he also had to go through years of plastic surgery, too. That would be tough on anybody. I don't care how old you are. I mean, that fire changed his life forever.
I can't wait to see Dave and Duvus's slides of the Heimlich maneuver.
I don't even want to think about it.
These projects turned out to be a real challenge for almost every group. And I've been very impressed with the creativity most of you have displayed. Now, your job today is to be a critic. Put your comments on paper. Yes, that will be part of your grade. I want you to analyze how the information was covered. Was it well organized? How would you have done it differently? All right, who wants to go first? Come on, let's have a volunteer. Maria, great. Okay, why don't you set this up for us?
The title of our piece is Looking Good, which I think most of you can relate to. The topic is on fire safety for teenagers. And what else? Just watch it.
For the crowd to have you sing loud, but you can still join them. The time is at hand for making a stand. Don't leave it up to fate before it's too late. You got